Arrival of His Excellency Dr. Kau Bin Hoon, Secretary General of ASEAN. Please be seated. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. We are delighted to welcome you to the ASEAN Hall for the briefing on the outcomes of the 47th ASEAN Summit and related summits, which will be delivered by His Excellency Dr. Kau Kim Hoon, Secretary General of ASEAN. For this occasion, we are not only joined by the Diplomatic Corps, ASEAN entities and centers, Partners Project Management Team, and the medias in Jakarta, but also by representatives from the ASEAN Committee in Third Countries and International Organization, ACTCs, who are attending this briefing virtually. This briefing is also live streamed to the public through the ASEAN Secretariat YouTube channel. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, please rise for the ASEAN anthem. Please be seated. Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we would like to kindly invite His Excellency Dr. Kau Kim Hoon, Secretary General of ASEAN, to deliver his briefing. SG Dr. Kau, the floor is yours, please.
Good morning, Your Excellencies, ambassadors, PRs of the ASEAN member states, exceeds ambassadors of the dialogue partner countries, ASEAN sectoral dialogue partner countries, foreign partner countries, and of course, all external partners, excellencies. Of course, we have also representatives from the ASEAN entities, those joined us virtually from around the world, who are members of the ASEAN committees in third countries and international organizations. At the moment, we have 55 of them. Friends of the media, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to brief you on the outcomes of the 47th ASEAN Summit related summits that took place for a period of 3 days from 26 to 28 October 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. The theme of ASEAN Challenge this year, 2025, is inclusivity and sustainability. As highlighted during the 47th summit, include the +1 summits, inclusivity and sustainability are not only just development goals, they are the foundations of peace and stability in our region. I wish to start by taking this opportunity to congratulate and thank the Honorable Dr. Sri Honorable Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia and ASEAN Chair for this year, for his able and effective chairmanship of the 47th ASEAN Summit and related summits, as well as other events that took place during the summer period. I would also like to congratulate the 3 chairs of the 3 councils. Of course, we have the Honorable Dr. Sri Atama Haji Muhammad bin Haji Hassan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Malaysia, and was able chairmanship of the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting, the ASEAN Foreign Meeting, the ASEAN Political Security Community Council meeting, and the ASEAN Coordinating Council, and other meetings, as well as the Dr. Sri Atama Haji Tengku Sarul bin Tengku Abdul Aziz, Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry of Malaysia, who chair the ASEAN Economic Community Council and other economic and related meetings, as well as the Honorable Dr. Sri Cheong King Sing, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Malaysia, who chair the ASEAN Social Cultural Council meetings and other related meetings as well. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share with you that there have been 66 outcome documents that were noted, adopted, and issued during the 40th ASEAN Summit. This is, if we count, we will include the documents that were adopted, issued, and noted during the 46th ASEAN Summit and related summits, combined together almost 100 documents for this year alone. The series of meetings also provide a venue for many bilateral meetings. On record, we have about 80, close to 100 bilateral meetings took place on the sidelines of 3 days. More than half of them are at the summit levels, meaning between and among the leaders. I myself had several bilateral meetings, was also with Prime Minister of Vietnam, with the UN Secretary General, and of course also with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Finland, in addition to polarized meetings. For me, I of course also granted a number of interviews to the media. This year, there have been a number of media outlets that cover the 47th Summit. There was a total of 2,327 media outlets at the international, regional, and international levels. That was more than the media outlets that were registered for the 46th Summit. That were roughly about 1,200. I want to share with you this number because we want to be as transparent as possible and share with you all of this. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it was eventful 3 days of summits with energy levels kept very high and the momentum sustained throughout the 3 days, with each day having key milestone of its own. On the first day of the summit, which took place on October 26th, with the signing of the Declaration on the Admission of Timor-Leste into ASEAN, Timor-Leste officially became the 11th member state of ASEAN. This follows a 14-year journey since Timor-Leste lodged its formal application to become a member of ASEAN, so it took 14 years. With Timor-Leste become a full-fledged member of ASEAN, its integration into ASEAN community is something which I would say has commenced when it was granted observer status 2 years ago, back in 2022. Now, of course, with the current integration, it's going to a full acceleration. Meanwhile, as it assumes the responsibility of a full member, meaning that we will continue to undertake possibly initiatives, a lot of engagements, and as well via institution support throughout this what we call post summit now as a full member. So I think you can say October 26th, therefore marks the day when the dream of ASEAN founding fathers to have all Southeast Asian nations within the fold of ASEAN has been realized. I also want to say that Timor State's full membership is timely as ASEAN will be embarking on the implementation of the 4 strategic plans under the ASEAN 2045 Our Shared Future, which will begin from January this year. The second major issue as a result of the first day summit, and that is the signing by the leaders of Cambodia, Thailand. And that is a joint declaration by the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Cambodia and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Thailand on the outcomes of the meeting in Kuala Lumpur. It is now known as the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord, which effectively ends the border tensions between Cambodia and Thailand. During this meeting, as you've seen already, that it was witnessed by US President Donald Trump, who also attended the 13th ASEAN US Summit. Also witnessing the signing this important document is the Malaysian Prime Minister and Chair of ASEAN, His Excellency Dr. Seri Anwar Prime of Malaysia. So we have 2 important leaders, US President and the Chair of ASEAN. I want to underline that beside all this, during the 4th ASEAN Summit, ASEAN leaders committed Malaysia's pivotal role as ASEAN Chair in mediating the border conflict and, of course, in coordinating its work with the US as well as China to secure ceasefire and facilitate dialogue earlier on. The declaration goes beyond its signing. ASEAN leaders recognize it as a major diplomatic milestone marking the start of reconciliation between the 2 neighbors. It embodies the commitment of ASEAN member states, in this case Cambodia and Thailand, which have their bilateral disputes, to preserve ASEAN unity and solidarity, and never to allow other issue to get in the way of ASEAN moving forward. The joint declaration was described as clear evidence that dialogue, diplomacy, and ASEAN's principle of peaceful conflict resolution deliver results. It is indeed a testament to the commitment of the member state to abide by this Charter and to live up to this principle enshrined in the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia, whose high contracting parties have now reached a total of 58, with the accession of Finland on the day before the 57, as of on the day before the 47th summit. From the original 5 members of ASEAN, including the TSE back in 1976, the increasing number of non-ASEAN countries exceeding 23 is an indication of their recognition of ASEAN as well as their commitment to abide by the TSE's principles and spirits. Also, I want to share another important issue that took place, and that is when the ASEAN Economic Minister handed over the 2nd protocol to amend the ASEAN Trade in Goods Agreement, ATIGA, representing a significant step forward. The upgrade ATIGA protocol is designed to become more responsive to both regional and global economic shifts and deepens and widens economic integration among ASEAN member states, fostering an environment conducive to growth and development of robust supply chains. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, the ATIGA upgrade will pave the way for ASEAN to become a single market production base. Now, effectively, we are bringing down tariffs to 0 and to bring down the non-tariff barriers. I think this is a significant development for ASEAN. Moving forward on the second day of the summit, it was a summit of the leaders of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, also agreement that capped the day. Convening again after 5 years since also leaders last met in 2020. The summit reaffirmed the commitment of participating states to a rule-based multilateral trading system anchored on the World Trade Organization. The summit is timely given recent developments in the global economic landscape and the rise of unilateralism and protectionism. Comprising nearly 30% of the world's population and global GDP, ASEAN offers immense potential. The summit called for its effective and full implementation, including acceleration of the accession process to ensure its openness, inclusivity. In other words, I think for the very first time at the highest level that we are ready to move forward on the accession process. So this is something that we will continue to work together. The ASEAN Summit also convened on the second day, and it's convened in a milestone year, with 2025 being its 20th anniversary. And Timothy's Day attending for the first time as a full member of the forum. The AES is recognized as a premier leaders-led forum for strategic dialogue and cooperation. The summit noted the progress of AES cooperation made under the AES Plan of Action 2024-2028 in various work streams such as energy sector, health, education, economic cooperation, and trade, as well as maritime cooperation. The AES countries look forward to the further implementation of other areas such as sustainable development, climate change, energy security, and of course, digital transformation. The AES leaders adopted the Kuala Lumpur Declaration on the 20th anniversary of the East Asia Summit. Through this declaration, the AES leaders reaffirmed their support for ASEAN centrality, particularly in the ASEAN-led mechanism and ASEAN being the driving force in the AES. They also recognize the AES achievements for the past 20 years, including substantial cooperation in addressing common challenges and promoting peace, stability, and economic prosperity in the region. In addition, they also adopted the East Asia Summit lead statement on promoting localization in depository action for disaster preparedness and response. With the increasing impact of climate change on the lives of people, a localized approach on disaster preparedness and disaster management and response would contribute to an active response to natural disasters, something that has become an imperative as the leader recognized during the ASEAN Summit. I want, of course, also to share with you that this year is the 20th anniversary of ADMIR, the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management. And this is something that ASEAN launched 20 years ago to have what is called the One ASEAN, One Response. As you see, ladies and gentlemen, the third day of the summit was capped by two major items. One is the signing of the ASEAN-China Free Trade Area 3.0 Upgrade Protocol. By introducing new commitments in areas such as the digital economy, green economy, supply chain, connectivity, competition, and consumer protection, as well as micro, small, and medium enterprises, the upgrade would further link together the economies of ASEAN and China together, with China already being ASEAN's largest trading partner. I think this year we expect to have $1 trillion trade between the two sides. It will therefore unlock immense potential for both sides, hence the urgency of having the upgrade ratified soonest, as encouraged by some of the member states. This would ensure that all ASEAN member states in China are able to leverage its full potential, mindful that this combined side economies, ASEAN and China, is a significant economy. The other important highlight of the third day is the summit that we convened, and that is on the elevation of ASEAN-New Zealand dialogue partnership to a comprehensive strategic partnership. So now New Zealand is ASEAN's latest CSP, marking New Zealand as a seventh dialogue partner to be accorded with this nomenclature. As New Zealand stressed, the ASEAN New Zealand Commemorative Summit is not only about celebrating how ASEAN and New Zealand have come together for the past 50 years. It is equally on charting a new direction of the partnership, thereby ensuring that the relation remains substantive and mutually beneficial. In commemoration of 5 decades of partnership, the leaders in ASEAN and New Zealand adopted the ASEAN New Zealand Leaders Joint Vision Statement on the 50th anniversary of ASEAN New Zealand dialogue relations. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to share some additional highlights of the 47th ASEAN Summit-related summits. The leaders had frank and in-depth discussions. Of course, they did so as members of one ASEAN family, as they of course also examined developments both within and outside of ASEAN that impacts on the ASEAN community. One such issue is the current situation in Myanmar. The result of their discussions are encapsulated in the ASEAN Leaders Review and decision on the implementation of the 5-point consensus, which has already been posted on the website, so you can see them in full, the full text. But I'd like to highlight that in their discussions, I think a Myanmar-led political resolution remains as a goal, with the 5-point consensus being reaffirmed as a primary framework for achieving peace and stability in Myanmar. Enhancing the capacity of special envoy was a matter considered and discussed by the leaders as well in this regard, and the leaders tasked the senior official to deliberate on the proposal of a longer-term ASEAN special envoy on Myanmar to ensure the continuity in that role. So again, this is something that there's new development that we don't want to have just a 1-year rotating special envoy to ASEAN chair. This is something that member state agree now to move forward, and the modality would have to be discussed in greater details. They also took note of the briefing from Myanmar on the recent developments in Myanmar, including its preparation for the upcoming general elections. They underscored the importance of free, fair, peaceful, transparent, inclusive, and credible general elections, and emphasized that the cessation of violence and inclusive political dialogue must precede elections. During their discussion, the ASEAN leaders strongly reaffirmed the need to preserve ASEAN unity and centrality as the foundation of the region's peace and stability, and amid growing geopolitical uncertainty. They recognize the importance of ASEAN unity and solidarity so as not to diminish ASEAN's autonomy and reduce its global relevance, particularly amid intensifying strategic competition between great powers. It is imperative that ASEAN demonstrates its capacity to resolve internal dispute peacefully, something which the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accord is considered to be making that contribution towards. The ASEAN leaders also expressed concern of the increasingly complex geo-economic environment and its implication for ASEAN economic security. It was highlighted how shifting global trade and supply chain dynamics have created uncertainty for ASEAN, a region deeply integrated into the global markets. On a positive note, the ASEAN leaders acknowledged the substantive progress has been made in the negotiations for the Digital Economic Framework Agreement, DEFRA. I think right now we have more than 70% of it concluded already. But the majority major policy issues have been resolved. They look forward to have the agreement signed next year. When adopted, DEFRA will unlock the digital economic potential of ASEAN, something we hope to reach some $2 trillion if we can maximize DEFRA when it is finalized. The ASEAN leaders, of course, also addressed a range of global and cross-regional challenges impacting peace and stability, including the conflict in the Middle East, with the first phase of the Gaza peace plan being welcomed. Meanwhile, the ASEAN leaders reiterated the importance of upholding international law and the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea UNCLOS, and called for the early conclusion of a substantive and effective code of conduct COC of Southern Sea. Again, there's been discussion that hopefully we'll get it done by next year during the Philippines ASEAN Chairmanship. Concerns over the increasing prevalence of online scams as a transboundary challenge of course also raised, and you can see this has been raised quite a bit. This plus the need to uphold international law, including UNCLOS, were two common themes that would emerge during the subsequent related summits, both during the +1 summits, as well as in the ES, as well as during the ASEAN +3 summit. Actually, ladies and gentlemen, as far as ASEAN external relations concerned, continue to expand both in breadth and depth. The ASEAN summit has reflected in the Chairman's statement that leaders discuss extensively how to strengthen our relations, cooperation, partnership with our external partners. And that's something that we discuss a lot, particularly on the issue of moratorium that's being discussed, and it's intense that the ministers and senior officials will be reviewing this. And I think in the context of our external partners that have applied to be part of a local dialogue partnership. Excellent ladies and gentlemen, once again, I wish to highlight that the related summits that took place are a testament to ASEAN's convening power in promoting dialogue, diplomacy, and of course, our strategic value. More importantly, the summits enable ASEAN to increase its reservoir of trust, which is most needed at this time when the world is witnessing what's called the increasing strategic trust deficit. In addition to the result of the ASEAN summit in the ES, allow me to highlight some key results of discussion during the ASEAN +3 summit and other +1 summit as well. For the ASEAN +3 summit, the leaders adopted the APT Leaders Summit or APT Leader Statement on strengthening regional economic and financial cooperation to further strengthen APT cooperation for economic and financial resilience, equipping the regional markets to effectively respond to global uncertainties. Emerging challenges include climate change, economic volatility, and further supporting strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive regional growth. During the ASEAN +3 summit, of course, there were key issues we discussed, including food security, certainly, of course, on the transnational crime, border management. These are some of the issues that were raised, including to make sure that these mechanisms continue to be relevant to the countries in this region. Moving forward on the +1 summit, let me start with Australia. The leaders noted the progress made in the implementation of the Australia for ASEAN initiatives, including flagship ASEAN for Australia Future initiatives, Australia for ASEAN Scholarship, Australia for ASEAN Fellowship, Australia for ASEAN Digital Transformation and Future Skills Initiative. The last of which complement joint efforts of ASEAN and Australia in ensuring that ASEAN Australia comprehensive partnership remains substantive, meaningful, and beneficial mutually. Two specific activities were noted by the leaders, and that were the workshops on conflict prevention and the ASEAN-led regional architecture with the Track 2, Track 1.5, and Track 1 levels. Also, the second AOIP seminar series on submarine cable, which focused on connectivity, protection, and governance of submarines cables in the region. The conflict prevention workshops have led to the adoption of the ASEAN-Australia Joint Leader Statement on Conflict Prevention and Crisis Management in the ASEAN-led regional architecture at the ASEAN-Australia Summit. For the ASEAN-China Summit, the meeting appreciated China's support for ASEAN's energy transition efforts and acknowledged as the ASEAN-China Clean Energy Cooperation Center to support work towards low carbon transition. ASEAN welcomed China's support towards the ASEAN Power Grid Initiative because at the 46th ASEAN Summit in May, the decision was to focus on the ASEAN Power Grid, how we can realize this in order to ensure that ASEAN able to respond to the growing needs of the demanding power of the energy. The meeting, of course, also encouraged greater cooperation and connectivity, and in this regard, ASEAN look forward to China's continued support for advancing ASEAN regional connectivity through the implementation of the ASEAN Connectivity Strategic Plan. ASEAN member states also look forward to exploring further liberalizing traffic rights under the ASEAN-China Air Transport Agreement. So again, with the aviation sector is growing, so looking into this, how we can explore and expand areas more. The summit welcomed China's proposal to designate next year, 2026, as the ASEAN-China year on the 5th anniversary of the CSP and the whole series of member activities in ASEAN member state and of course also in China. Let me move on to India. ASEAN-India Summit, the leaders encouraged complementarities between the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific AOIP and India's Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiatives, or what's called IPOI. Both sides emphasize the importance of strengthening ASEAN-India economic relations, particularly through the ongoing negotiations on the review of the ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement. I want to share that we're making some real progress here between the two sides. This is to talk about, we have already an agreement FTA between ASEAN and India, but on this particular item, what we call Trade in Goods Agreement, we're now discussing and negotiating to make sure that both sides are able to take advantage of each other's market. With the year 2025 being the ASEAN-India Year of Tourism, the ASEAN-India Joint Leader Statement on Sustainable Tourism was adopted. ASEAN commended India's support and contribution to advance joint activities in the tourism sector, as well as the implementation of serious activities to mark this significant year 2025 as the ASEAN-India Year of Tourism. Moving forward, of course, the summit declared next year as the ASEAN-India Year of Maritime Cooperation. The summit noted that next year we will have the ASEAN-India Defense Minister informal meeting as well in 2026. With Japan, the ASEAN-Japan Summit adopted the joint statement of the 28th ASEAN-Japan Summit on further promotion and implementation of the ASEAN Outlook on the Indo-Pacific. The leader also agreed to continue enhancing political security cooperation on maritime security and transnational crime through various ASEAN mechanisms, including the ASEAN Plus Japan Laws Ministers meeting, which will be convened for the very first time in November this year in Manila. Japan is the only dialogue partner that ASEAN has that are cooperating in the law sector. It started since 2023, but now it's been formalized. It's something that we're working on together, particularly with the meeting that will start next month in the Philippines. In addition, the leaders underscored the importance of full and effective implementation of the ASEAN-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement and the OSAP Agreement. They look forward to advancing regional development and innovation, including in AI governance, energy transition, sustainability, and environment protection. But ASEAN leads welcome Japan proposal on the ASEAN-Japan Co-Creation Initiative on AI. The meeting welcomes Japan's contribution, includes through the Initiative for ASEAN Integration, Japan ASEAN Integration Fund, as well as Japan ASEAN Comprehensive Connectivity Initiative. ASEAN congratulates Japan on the successful conclusion of the World Expo 2025 Osaka and appreciate its support. I think this year, 9 out of 10 member states, plus the Secretary, participate actively in the World Expo that was hosted by Japan. On ASEAN Republic Korea Summit, the leaders acknowledged the shared fundamental principle between the AOIP and Republic Korea's Indo-Pacific strategy in promoting peace and cooperation, and encourage practical cooperation between the two sides. The leaders agree on the need to intensify trade and investment facilitation, strengthen supply chain connectivity, and foster greater economic integration through the effective implementation of the ASEAN-Korea Free Trade Agreement, as well as also. And of course, they agree to commence the ASEAN-Korea FTA upgrade negotiations that will begin next year. The summit also committed to deepening cooperation in environment, climate change, disaster management, and sustainable development, and public health, including by continuing exploring collaboration with ASEAN Center of Excellence, particularly in this public health sector. ASEAN expressed appreciation to all his contribution to human resource development, including through capacity building, technical and vocational education training, TVET. Following this, all his support was in initiatives such as, of course, also the ASEAN Power Grid. With the US, the ASEAN-US Summit, the ASEAN leaders commend the US on its active participation in various ASEAN-led mechanisms, including the East Asia Summit, the ASEAN Forum, the ASEAN Defense Minister Meeting, plus an expanded ASEAN Maritime Forum. Against this backdrop, the meeting encouraged the enhancement of maritime cooperation and look forward to the second ASEAN-US maritime exercise, which will take place in Batam, Indonesia. The meeting reaffirmed the commitment to further strengthen ASEAN-US law enforcement cooperation in combating various financial crimes, including drug trafficking, cyber crimes, and online scams, illicit trafficking of wildlife and timber, trafficking persons, as well as terrorism and extremism. ASEAN leaders reaffirmed their commitment to deepening mutually beneficial partnership with the United States as one of ASEAN's key trading and investment partners. ASEAN expressed readiness to harness existing platforms, including the ASEAN-US Trade and Investment Framework Agreement work plan, and the dialogue between ASEAN economic ministers and the US Trade Representative. Moving forward, the summit adopted the ASEAN-United States Leaders Joint Vision Statement to promote stronger, safer, and more prosperous ASEAN and America. Again, leaders expressed appreciation to US President Donald Trump for his active support of the ASEAN chair, particularly on the border conflict between Cambodia and Thailand. Well, since one of the key issues that was also discussed during the ASEAN-US Summit. With the United Nations on the ASEAN-UN Summit, the importance of a wholly multilateral regionalism and the rule-based international order was extensively discussed. The leaders underscored the importance of defending multilateralism and preventing polarization by being more inclusive and supporting a more balanced multipolar order through networking with ASEAN as one of its centers and encouraged ASEAN to assert itself. But the last part is basically the words of the UN Secretary General, because he'd like to see ASEAN play a greater role globally. The need for a multipolar world was stressed, as it is only in such a setting where multilateralism can thrive. Multilateralism cannot thrive, I think this is the word we discussed, when you have the rise of unilateralism. Also want to share the reason why, as in UN, should work together closely is to show that multilateralism is the way forward, working at the global level, working at the regional level. Meanwhile, indeed, the ASEAN leaders noted efforts to develop complementarities between ASEAN 2045, our shared future, and the UN Sustainable Development Agenda. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the preceding discussion of the +1 summit focused on some of the points raised that are unique and special to each of the summits. And to close today's briefing, please allow me to highlight some of the common themes that emerge consistently during the various summits. That I was able to attend all of them, and you can hear all these issues keep coming up again and again. One is the importance of ASEAN unity and centrality, and the imperative for ASEAN external partners to support centrality, something which their respective leaders have been weighing, and that it should only be a buzzword. Relatedly, expression of support for ASEAN outlook on the Indo-Pacific has been widely received as well. Two is the unraveling of the global system, with all rules no longer applying, and the new rules not yet written. As eloquently stated by the chair, ASEAN chair during the opening of the ceremony of the 47th Summit. In the meantime, there is increasingly digitalization, whose impact is intensifying, making it imperative for ASEAN to have the digital economy framework agreement sooner rather than later. This is the third common theme, digitalization, how it not only brings forth immense economic potentials, but also risks such as online scams, which have emerged as a primary transnational challenge that we are facing with. Fourth is the need to promote connectivity, whether in terms of infrastructure, people, or in cyberspace. Fifth is the increasing role of MSME, not only in promoting economic development, but also ensuring that prosperity is inclusive and sustainable. Meanwhile, the importance of strategic minerals is also increasingly being recognized. Six, how people being impacted by climate change, hence the need to enhance capacity to respond to natural disasters and mitigate the effects of climate change. And relatedly, and the seventh point is here, that emerged is the imperative to promote green economies, including the promotion of green finance, energy transition, among others. Eight is the possibility for other countries and economies to accede to the regional comprehensive economic partnership in accordance with its accession protocol. At the moment, the following four economies are waiting in the wings. They have Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Chile, and Bangladesh. Ninth is about youth and their creativity, being the foundation of development, hence the imperative to nurture future generations to lead the region. And therefore, education is the foundation. Finally, the 10th is the readiness of ASEAN external partners to support ASEAN 2045, our shared future. As I have constantly stressed, ASEAN is taking a bold step by having a 20-year vision. ASEAN is not only looking at the immediate future, but it's also venturing beyond the horizon, a testament to the maturity of the ASEAN community. The ASEAN 2045, our shared future, is not only a roadmap for ASEAN community building, but it's also a true commitment of ASEAN. And with that, I thank you very much for your kind attention. I will be happy to entertain your questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Buck, for the comprehensive presentation. We will now proceed with the Q&A session. For those present at the ASEAN Hall, please kindly raise your hand if you wish to ask a question. Member of our team will approach you with a microphone. For the ACTC participant, please submit your question through the chat feature in the Zoom platform. Kindly state your name, institution, and the brief question. Due to the time constraint, we will take the first round of questions from the floor, please. Yes, we see someone from behind.
Good morning. My name is Nadia from the Jakarta Group. I would like to ask one questions. Will ASEAN send observers for the Myanmar general election at the end of the year? And also, the second question is on the RCEP. You said that some countries have shown interest in joining the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. I wonder if there were talks of Timor-Leste now that it is not being part of ASEAN, is interested in also joining the RCEP trade pact. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for these two questions. On ASEAN member states sending observers to observe the general elections in Myanmar, this particular issue was discussed at the foreign minister level, was by foreign minister by the leaders. At the moment, as I already reflected in my briefing just now in my statement, that ASEAN member states would like to see a cessation of violence. And of course, also how to make sure that there will be free and fair elections, always based on the inclusive political dialogue first, before the election will take place. So my reading is that I believe we will not have ASEAN observation team to be sent. It's very clear. But whether each ASEAN member state sending, I do not know, because that is up to each ASEAN member state. But collectively, I do not think there will be an ASEAN observation team. With regard to RCEP, yes, we believe that Timor-Leste, by becoming a forum of ASEAN, will be part of every initiative, every mechanisms, structure that we have in ASEAN, but also with our external partners. So in that regard, I would say yes, Timor-Leste will be working on this as well. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao. We open the floor for the second round of question. Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Kao. I'm Eno from National Radio of Indonesia. I have two questions. First, about the nuclear power for the ASEAN region. Is it more likely to happen in the future? And second, you already mentioned about combating
Sorry,
transportation.
how was it in the region?
Nuclear power.
What
Is it?
yeah.
Second question, you've mentioned about the combating the transnational crime. Could you please elaborate about the discussion maybe about its matters, especially for online scam that many of the regions also involved to this issue? So what is the tangible acts that ASEAN already deal for this matter? Thank you.
Well, on nuclear energy, there have been discussion, but not so much at this series of summits. My understanding, based on various conversations and meetings we have had, that there are some interest in ASEAN member states who would like to pursue energy mix as part of the clean energy transition. I believe some of the ASEAN member states have already looking at this possibilities. But again, this is something that will have to be seen forthcoming. We also look at the studies being done by the ASEAN Center for Energy, ACE. This was also included as part of the long term. On the issue of international crime, yes, this is one of the issues that has been discussed extensively as well, to address broad issues, not just online scams, including trafficking, person, drugs. And I think the good part about it is that leaders had frank discussions on how to address this issue of transnational crime, which include many other dimensions. And I believe that from here onward, we will use all mechanisms that we have to address this ongoing threats. And the collaboration not only within ASEAN or amongst the member states, we will work with our dark partners as well, partners. And I think to address this issue, we have for ASEAN, we have the ASEAN Ministerial Meeting on International Crime, AMOTC, and it's an official meeting on international crime, SOMTC. Under the ASEAN Digital Minister Meeting, ADG-MIN, we have the working group, all right, the working group to combat online scams. So all that can work. Of course, I would say for drugs, for example, issue that we have the ASEAN Minister Meeting on drugs. So I think we will use combined efforts through the various mechanism we have in ASEAN and also with our partners. Through also more coordination. So I would say the decision been made by leaders, ministers. So from now on, it's about moving to implementation. So we'll see in the coming, I think, months. We'll see that this is going to be being discussed and addressed. Also, I want to share with you the new development, and that is the establishment of the ASEAN prosecutors and attorney generals. It's a new mechanism that we hope is going to be in place very, very soon. With that, you will, along with the ASEAN Law Ministers meeting, the mechanism, I think they will address this jointly. So it's not just the existing mechanism that we have, but the new mechanism we set up. Yes, so to respond to that question, thank you.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao. May we proceed with another round of questions from the floor, please?
Good morning, Dr. Kao. My name is Akbar from Japanese newspaper Asahi Shimbun. I just would like to a little bit curious about ASEAN efforts as a group on responding Myanmar election. You said that ASEAN will not have an ASEAN observers as a team. Could you elaborate more on why? I heard on the summit there was like a discussions among leaders and member states that there should be an ASEAN united efforts on responding to Myanmar election, but how ASEAN will move forward after the summit meeting?
Thank you very much for again as a follow-up question to the other question. I think it's very clear that in ASEAN we do things by consensus, but when we have a spectrum of positions, then we have to understand that the certain things we agree to disagree, which is normal part of ASEAN. So in this case, what we understand is that Myanmar has sent out an invitation to all the member states. And there were discussions on this issue, but to have ASEAN collectively to observe election is something that we do not have as a group. But again, individually, because ASEAN work at two levels, collectively and individually. So I honestly can say that collectively we will not have an ASEAN observation team there. But individuals, I cannot say because we don't know yet how each ASEAN member state will respond to the invitation that's been sent to each ASEAN member state. Okay, I hope this is clear.
Thank you, SG Dr. Kao. May we seek another round of questions from the floor before we conclude?
Good morning, Dr. Kao. My name is Reno from Indonesia. My question is, during the summit, ASEAN and China have have upgraded the trade deal to its 3.0 protocol. Could you elaborate which sector will be covered under the upgrade trade agreement? And what factors prompted both parties to enhance the agreement? My second question is, given the growing trend of unilateralism and protectionism, does ASEAN have any plans to establish a new free trade agreements with its other strategic partners? If so, which countries or blocs have been approached for discussions? Thank you.
Okay, let me address the second question first. Yes, we have been accelerating our negotiations for another FTA with Canada. At the moment, we expect this FTA to be concluded by around April next year. But this is something that it has been there for some time already. This is, I think, it's an ongoing. Second, of course, we have undertaken a feasibility study for region-to-region FTA between ASEAN and the Cooperation Council. We have a preliminary study done, but a full study is being conducted now. And that is what we call part of the diversification strategy of ASEAN to diversify. To respond to that, of course, also ASEAN have been consolidating, like I said, by negotiating for upgrades. Like example, with Korea, for Korea, the upgrading of FTA will be starting next year. So again, this is something we like to do. Of course, on the side, ASEAN, we like to see an upgrade for the ASEAN-Japan comprehensive non-partnership also. But I think we're waiting for the response from Japan in that regard. And we're doing one, as mentioned about with India. We already concluded and started implementation of the upgrade of the protocol in the context of ASEAN Australia New Zealand FTA. But it's already going to affect since April this year. Of course, we've been discussing with the EU also on having FTA region to region, but I think the EU is still very much interested in pursuing FTA with each ASEAN member state, not region to region at this moment, which is fine for us. We believe that each ASEAN member state is part of the building block. All right. But with the EU, we have the only thing between us and the EU at the regional level, region to region, and that is the air transport sector. We have the comprehensive air transport agreement between us and the EU. Hopefully, in the future, we can expand this to other areas. The reason, because between us and the EU, we have also enduring partnership. In 2027, we are reaching another 50-year milestone. So how we want to take our relationship forward, I think, will depend on both sides. Come back to your question on this ASEAN-China 3.0 FTA upgrade here, the protocol upgrade here. I mentioned earlier already during my part of my briefing. Let me reiterate some of the areas that we like to see there. Of course, the area would be, and the FTA was mentioned, that is digital economy is one area that we would like to see is taking place. Green economy, supply chain, connectivity, competition, and consumer protection, MSMEs. So these are some of the areas that will be, I think, going deeper on both sides. And certainly, as I said, that we are now working on our DIFA agreement within ASEAN. So we'd like to see this moving forward. And basically is to make sure that this ASEAN-China FTA is relevant, remain relevant for the business community, particularly for the companies on both sides. Okay, I hope I have answered your question there.
Thank you very much, SG Dr. Kao, for your views and comments. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, We have come to the end of today's briefing. Thank you for your participation and have a good day.
Okay.